A very good evening to all our viewers today. This is your host, Dr. Anjana. So, today we have the part two series of the podcast that we had planned with Dr. Monica and Dr. Ashish. So, both of them have got their GMC registration in September 2023. And Dr. Monica, she is through. She is now through the standalone FY2 pathway. She has secured a F2 training position at University Hospital, Birmingham, and she is due to start on August 7, 2024. And welcome, Dr. Monica, once again. It's great to have you here today.
Likewise. Hi,
Yeah.
everyone.
And Dr. Ashish, he is currently working as a resident doctor in Manipal Hospitals, Vijayawada. So, welcome to this session, Dr. Ashish.
Hello all. Nice to see you all again.
Yeah. So I'll just brief you here regarding what we did, in our first part of this podcast series. There we covered topics such as visa applications and how you can look forward for the accommodation when you are in UK and the cost that you're going to incur there. So all these are the topics that we very in detail we covered all these topics on in our part one. So today in part two, we are going to, cover about mock exams, the clinical attachments, the GMC registration, and also the job applications in detail. So this is going to be a very interactive session. So let's not waste any further time. Last time in the part one, we did touch upon the mock exams, but today we're going to discuss about it in detail. So let me start the series, and my first question will be about the mock exams itself.
Right.
So I want to ask you, did these mock exams that you took replicate the format and content of the real PLAB 2 exam in a proper way? And how was it? If you can brief us about that.
Yeah. So mock exams are usually an essential part of preparation, if you could say. So they usually replicate the format of and the content of PLAB Part 2 exam, but the degree of similarity varies. So it depends on the type of mock that you take. For
Right,
suppose there are two kinds of mocks. One could be a online mock, and the other is your in-person mock.
right,
Online mocks, as you know, it will be like a sequential station after station where you have to go through all the preparation that you did with the simulator, and he'll be the examiner, he or she will be the examiner as well. And that's how they score you, and it's the same scoring criteria again. And coming to in-person mocks, this is personally my opinion is the best because
right,
they have they have more immersive experience. Like you can have the experience, you can feel the rush and the adrenaline from going from one station to the other. Like just you have 2 minutes of preparation time before you enter into a patient's room, into
right.
the station. So you can organize your thoughts, you can use your time. This is more similar to a GMC pattern of exam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Monica, would you like to add something to it?
Yes. My experience of mocks were that it helped a lot when it came to understanding just how different it's going to be to encounter station after station. Because the what I was doing before my mocks was I would take like a whole set, like a type of station, and I just practice each case back to back. The first
Right,
time I went into a mock, I understood what it felt like to experience, like I'd experience like a history taking station, have 2 minutes to recollect myself, and then maybe I'd walk into a summit, and then a prescription, and then like another thing. So mocks help with understanding just how different it is going to be to have that back to backness of it, and it'll also help you. It'll also help you like tune your mindset in that 2 minutes that you have in
Correct.
between each
Yeah.
station. So I think for
The
that
more you
experience,
yeah,
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 please.
right. So the more you acclimatize yourself to the 2 minute before entering the station, the more confident you feel to organize your thoughts. Just clear your mind, go in an organized, clear manner. You'll
Yeah,
be
right.
more confident. in presenting.
Mocks definitely help with that, but don't be too. It's whatever you do on the day of your exam, it's going to be very different. So even while practicing, even while going for your mocks, just have that have that benefit of the doubt that okay, like this is all just for my mental preparation, but on that particular day, it's going to be very different, which is fine. You'll be able to handle it, but it is going to be a little different.
Right.
But from my
So,
personal experience, I didn't remember anything that I prepared like exactly how I prepared. But what about you, Monica? Did you remember?
Yeah, so see, in that on the day of your exam, having your wits about you is the most important thing. Your
Correct.
preparation,
Absolutely.
your the last 1 month, everything, just throw it out of the window. That day, those are
Yeah.
your stations, that is your task, tackle it. And you don't
right.
have to, it'll all come to you. Definitely, it'll all come back to you. Just be confident, but that particular day is going to be very different. Your marks prep you for how different it's going to be. So don't have unrealistic
Absolutely.
expectations, but don't not take marks. They're very important.
Right.
Yeah.
Here I would
In
like
fact,
to,
include both the types of.
yeah,
Sorry.
please go ahead.
Yeah. In fact, it's better to include both types of forms depending upon your financial status and also how well prepared you are. So I would personally recommend take a in-person mock first and two in-person mock. One being after 1 month of your exam, after 1 month of your preparation, and the second one being just 2 to 3 weeks before. And in between, you can give one or two online mocks. And then after that, you can, depending upon your confidence levels, you can either choose an in-person mock or go for another online mock as well.
Yeah, because that was my next question. That does the quantity also have an effect? Because you mentioned about two in-person mocks, right? So I that was my next
Yeah,
question. Like, will you suggest ki having more mocks will be beneficial, and how many, if more? That that was my next question.
Honestly, it depends on the person.
Right.
Every academy will give you a minimum of 2 marks. A lot
Hmm.
of people find that sufficient.
Hmm.
I did my predetermined 2 marks that my academy gave me, and I took one extra mark outside, which for me was
Okay.
enough. But some people might want more. Some people are happy
Hmm.
with just the two. So it
yeah,
this answer you will get while you're practicing.
Right.
How much you need, you will get while you're practicing.
correct.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Depending
and
upon you, how confident you are before the exam, like 1 week before the exam or 1 month before the exam,
Hmm.
yeah,
you can
but
always get an
please,
online mock anytime.
yeah, but please don't take any marks 1 week before your exam because that will just stress you out. And because each mark will come with like a set of feedback, right? And 1 2 weeks
Correct.
before your exam is not the time to be taking marks. That's just the time to keep practice,
Yeah,
practice, practice, and get your head in the game. So 2 weeks before your exam, stop marks, continue your practice. And online, personally, if you ask me, it's better to take in that, when you pass your PLAB 2 and you're waiting to go to UK and that 1 month in between, just take a couple of online marks then to like get an idea of what the stations will be like. That way, when you show up in the UK to practice, it will be helpful for you to like integrate seamlessly into practicing with everybody else.
yeah.
Right, right. I think that's an excellent piece of advice. Now, I would like to ask you both. In the last podcast, when we were discussing, you mentioned that, discussion with peer when we were talking about accommodation and all that. You said that,
Mhm.
you will have discussions with your peers and all that. So,
Yeah.
how important is this discussion with your peers when you're giving your mock exams or while you're prepping for this particular exam? And you tell me, how did these discussions help you personally?
So, discussing with the colleague with colleagues or partners, it would be based on how you receive it. It's an individual perspective.
Hmm.
So, some people prefer discussing a lot after they're performing a mock exam or after their practice session, but some people
Right.
don't try to discuss so much because they're
Hmm.
confident enough. Or so it's. I would personally, I would say discussions help me a lot. either be it prescriptions or sim and practice or history taking sessions. So when you discuss, you have comparing evidence of different pieces of reasoning given by others, but you have to tailor it according to you. Have to strengthen your approach. For that, you need to have a mind of your own strategy as to how you're going to be in that station, like how you're putting yourself together, put yourself together, organize your thoughts. Yeah, that is more important rather than just taking everything that people say.
Right.
And
Dr. Monica,
uh,
you had a smile when the discussion was going on. I don't know if
mm,
you remembered something, if you were nostalgic. So,
No, we were at the same academy. So I just remembered that I have a very different view on discussion. So I'm
okay.
not very big on discussions. I have always been that way. That is just who I am as a person.
Hmm.
I don't spend too much time talking and trying to like figure out where what. And
Hmm.
to me, I found that very beneficial in PLAB because when you go into the day of the exam, they kind of look for your individuality of how you handle a
correct.
situation.
Yeah,
And
Hmm.
I found that when I started to take a lot of input from everyone, I started to lose my individuality on how I would handle that situation. So I had
Okay.
a rule for myself. I would not spend more than a minute or two discussing uh, anything about a station with any of my peers. And I would only take inputs that I knew were directed solely towards anything in particular that was going to make me better in that station. So sometimes people would go on and on and on and on.
absolutely.
Yeah, they'll just go on and
Yeah,
on and on. Be crisp. Don't be afraid to say, please, this is what I want to know. What do you think about this? I felt this way and I would like this kind of a feedback. Don't be afraid. Just trust that you know yourself much better than anyone. Yes, discussions are very important, don't waste too much time on discussing. Like you have a brain of your own. You have your wits about you. Know what to take, know what to leave behind, because that's a very high stress situation. It's a very high stress period of your life, and if you know something stressing you out too much unnecessarily, like cut it out. It's not necessary.
yeah. Basically,
Be
you have
very
to cherry pick those tips, whatever you
yeah.
receive the inputs, which
It's a
resonate deeply
double-edged
with
sword.
you, right? Yeah.
It's
At the
I
end,
definitely
they
a
think
are only checking about you. They're not checking about they're checking about your holistic approach as to patient care. They don't want you to be uh, reading out whatever you've practiced or be
right.
somebody else.
I think that's an interesting perspective to have, and definitely one which students can apply. So now I want to ask a subjective question, right? Both of you, did you find any particular station in the mock exam more challenging uh, than others? Why or why not? I mean, I want to know.
What do you
uh,
say, Monica? Simon?
No, so I'll first, to give some clarity to people who are not yet there, I'll first talk to you about the different kinds of stations you're going to be encountering. So you have an idea of what I'm saying. The first that comes to my mind is a history taking station. So this is your run of the mill history taking that you've been doing since third year of college. It's just going to be more and more cases like that. So that's going to be like an integration of everything you've been doing your entirety of med school. So that's your history taking station. Another type of station you'll be encountering is counseling and ethics. And then you have your
Yeah,
examination stations, your teaching stations. You'll have a written prescription station. You'll have a station called Simman, which is essentially a huge model of a man, and
a
you'll be walking.
mannequin,
Yeah, it's like
a
a
simulation mannequin.
mannequin. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
the abbreviation of it is simulation mannequin, Simman. So you'll be walking into a room and it'll be an acute emergency, and you have to handle it the way you would in an ED or an ER. And then after
yeah,
this, you'll have your teleconsultations and your video consultations. So this is by large the uh, all the kinds of stations you'll be encountering. I'm sorry if I've missed any. The ones I found most challenging were Simon and prescription. My reasons for finding it challenging is because I need a minute or two to collect myself in a high stress situation. And literally, if you don't do it, your simmin will die. And it's
Okay.
so when the
Okay.
lights go out in front of you, it's like, oh God, what have I done?
This
So
brings
Right.
back a lot of memories.
yeah, and even on the day of my exam, I still remember Simran was the worst station I had done. But it went well because I scored pretty high in that. But it was the worst station I had done. So for me, that was very challenging. And the second reason the second station I found challenging was prescription. And the reason I found it challenging is because when you're practicing, you'll know it's a very outdated system. Nobody sits and
Hmm.
writes prescriptions anymore in that country. Everything is computerized. So when you have to sit and write, and remember for each station you only have 8 minutes. So for things like sim and prescription, it's like it's very time consuming and it's very high stress, and you have to, you know. So I found these two challenging. But something most people have found challenging that I've noticed was ethics and counseling, because
Counseling, yeah.
counseling because it doesn't really involve medicine as much as it involves persuasion, like the art of persuasion into, but also keeping in mind the ethical guidelines of that country.
Hmm.
You have to sort of persuade them, but not force them. You have to give
Right.
them all of the information that they need. You have to be very clear and precise. So, but you also have to try your best in order to make sure they have all the information and you've tried your best for them to take that particular decision. But if they don't, you can't push them. So a lot of people struggled with this, and I noticed that they struggled. So this
It
might
is
be
also
something.
because the the way we approach in the countries other than the
Yeah,
West is different. The patient
Hmm.
approach itself is different. How we deal with a situation when it comes to an ethical issue or a counseling issue where we have to convince the patient to stay back in the hospital. We all
Hmm.
go about our approach is different. It's just different compared to uh, the West. So we need to acclimatize ourselves to habituate ourselves to get used to that system and then speak in that way and be more organized in that way.
your
Be
Right.
thoughts.
empathetic on the same hand.
Yeah, your thoughts need to be very organized.
Yeah,
You have to be very empathetic and concerned, but at the back of your head, your mind has to be like on point. Like it has to keep doing what it has to do at the back, but on your face, you have to be very empathetic and kind and see. Which see, I'll be very honest with you. Culturally, a lot of countries that IMGs go from, we're not used to that. That's the only difference. It's not like
Right.
we can't learn it, but we are
Hmm.
not used to it. So it might take you some time to orient to that. So that you might find
Right.
this challenge.
and not to forget the time pressure.
Yeah, everything needs to be done in 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
So, Dr. Ashish, which stations did you find challenging?
Counseling, of course. Counseling took me a lot
Okay.
of time to get practice in the station, in the academy with my
Right.
friends. I personally practiced 10 stations of counseling per day and 2 stations of history taking and the others. But
Right.
counseling
Right.
and ethics was given main focus for me.
Right. Okay. So now let's move ahead to the clinical attachments that we've also mentioned in part one, and we said that we'll be discussing that in detail here. So I want to ask you both: what were the primary goals that you set for yourself during your clinical attachments?
Our primary goal was to like get a job
If we
in
were
the
to be
attachment
completely
itself.
honest, that was our only goal. But yeah,
But
jokes
honestly,
apart,
like joke, yeah, it is a primary goal is to like get to know about the NHS and the services the
Right.
NHS provides. It is like I mentioned in the previous part, NHS is one of the most wonderful healthcare systems ever designed. And understanding it itself takes a time, and that's where clinical attachment comes in place.
Hmm.
If you're in a private hospital working abroad, like not in the West, in your own country, then you can find it similar to the care that is given, but the services differ a lot.
Right.
They have something called as home care. They have emergencies care that run a little bit different compared to India or any other country.
Hmm.
But these are the crucial differences. like the emergency team meetings, multidisciplinary team meetings, they all go work very hand in hand together there. But we don't have that kind of culture here.
Right.
And one more thing that you can familiarize is observing the hierarchy of the ranks. So in an
Hmm.
army, you have a soldier, cadet, captain, brigadier. So here we have junior doctors, medical students, FI2s, registrars, consultants. So if you get to know and the limitations at each level will be very insightful actually. You will also have a clear idea to what role you're applying.
Right.
One thing I did during my clinical attachment that I highly advise anybody who's going for a clinical attachment to do is I kept a record of everything
Hmm.
I would do in that particular day. And later on,
Yeah.
it helped me a lot because in my CV and in my job applications and in my interview also, when they asked me what did you learn, what did you do, it was easy for me to recollect because I had my notes to refer. And uh, it's good if you keep a record of everything that you do, because tomorrow you're going to have to sell yourself. This is what we're all doing out here. We are
Hmm.
going out there and we're selling
Mhm.
ourselves. I'm good. I am the best. Please take me. This is our objective, right? So you have to
Right.
go out there and prove why you are good, why you are the best. And sometimes things get lost in thought. So record keeping
Hmm.
helps because it is a way of you to go back and realize how much you have done and how much you have learned. So it
Right.
helped me a lot to keep a record. And even though I went in, I'll be very honest, I went in with not too many primary goals. I wasn't that orchestrated in life. But when I came out, I had a lot of goals because I had written everything down and I understood what needs to be done. So
Right.
sometimes you'll get primary goals after you're done with your attachment also, which is what happened to me.
Yeah, it's very
Okay.
normal to realize that.
Okay. That's really interesting. Now, I would like to ask, because we've been discussing about the differences that we have in the practice here and in UK. So, did you encounter any communication challenges? Because you said that that is one thing that many Indians, I think, see, it is also our strong point. Sometimes it can also be our weak point. So, what communication challenges did you face during your attachments, and how did you overcome them?
Personally, if you ask me, I didn't face any communication challenge per
Yeah.
se. I found it pretty easy to integrate and speak to the consultants, both Indian, Asian, Caucasian. Yes, because I feel like I was pretty prepared, but also it doesn't really matter how fancy your vocabulary is or how you sound. Nothing. They
Hmm.
are very helpful.
Hmm.
Everyone is one thing I noticed, like the primary difference I noticed is everyone is very willing to teach you.
Okay.
It is
Yeah.
okay to say you don't know something. It is okay to say, I want to learn this. I need some help. People are more than happy to take the time out to teach you what to do.
Teach you.
And
Correct.
yeah,
That's one
and
thing that I really appreciate about it.
yeah, they were very willing to teach you. And I was just a clinical attaché, and they were still very willing to teach me. So imagine if you get into like a job or a training position where they see you every day. It's not going to be a
Hmm.
problem. But one thing that I will advise is don't let it stop you. Sometimes we have our own sort of, we reject ourselves before people even reject us. So don't do that. Just be clear, be very precise about what you want to learn, what doubts you have, what you want to communicate. You don't have to sound any particular way. Keep it simple, keep it direct, keep your, like what you want to say. People are more than willing to go out of their way to understand you. So it's fine.
Right.
But don't let it hold you back. The more you get out there
You
and the
have
more
to
you,
be open to, correct.
yeah, the more you get out there, the
You
more you
have,
talk, you,
continue, I'll talk later.
the more you get out there, the more you talk, the more you put yourself out there, the better you're going to get. Everyone is here to learn,
Correct.
right? Just remember that.
Yeah. Be open, be confident. Even if you don't know, just go and ask.
Yeah, just
Right.
ask. Always ask.
Hmm.
Anyone is willing to help you, from the nurses to the JCFs to the trainee doctors to the
The
consultants.
consultants.
Even. Consultants are, from my experience, they were very friendly, and everyone I have spoken to,
Yeah,
they were very friendly. So,
Right, right.
everyone,
so
even during
all,
my attachment.
So I think that's great to know for the ones hearing you both today, that it's a friendly environment where they get to learn. I think that's something every student looks forward to, right? And if that is coming from both of you, I'm sure it should be how it is, and I'm sure that gives a lot of confidence to the students. Uh, I would also want to
one
ask
advice
you.
I would
Yeah,
give,
yeah, please. Yeah, yeah.
um, I just think this is something everyone should do, and it really helped with my communication skills. Also, if you still feel like it's hard for you, read a lot
Hmm.
of books. I've been doing that since I was a kid. Like any kind of storybook, just make reading. When you make reading your habit,
Hmm.
speaking and just speaking with confidence automatically comes with that. So for me personally, reading played a huge role in how confident I feel when I interact with people. So maybe you could try that if you feel like communication is hard for you. If you still feel after all of this it's hard for you, try picking up reading as a hobby. It's always nice to have hobbies, right?
Right.
That's not a
Right.
good method.
Yeah. Right. So my next question is, during your clinical attachments, did you participate in any audits or quality improvement projects? If so, can you just brief us about the same? Because we have heard that audits are, the big thing that happens there, and everybody is encouraged to, take part in audits. So, can
To
you
an yes.
brief us about the same?
So yeah, I did an audit when I was in my clinical attachment. I actually didn't. I went in not even knowing what an audit is. My consultant was the one on day one. He's like, try to get an audit done. It's really gonna help you. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
what is this audit thing? So even to figure out what an audit is, it took me like 2 weeks into it, and then I only had like 2 weeks to manage to work on it. So I did do an audit. I became friends with one of the JCS there, and both of us worked on it together. So one thing you need to remember in audits is always do one. Try your best to do one. It will really help you. Second, you can't do it on your own. So you have to do it under the guidance of somebody who already works at the trust. So
Right.
usually a consultant will help you, but sometimes he or she will be too busy. So try to make friends, or rather at least acquaintances at the junior doctor level, because most probably you'll be working closely with them. The audit that I did was, we basically found out that the HbA1c levels would not come back in time uh, before. So I did my clinical attachment in cardiology, and we found out that the HbA1c levels that you take when the patient comes in with an arrest or a STEMI or an NSTEMI, they wouldn't come back in time for when the patients were getting repatriated back to their their GPs or homes, or wherever their repatriation would take place. So they'd waste a lot of time having to collect those results from their GPs or coming back to the hospital, or it'll just take time. So we collected a lot of data to even understand this trend that was happening. It wasn't even like
Okay.
known to a lot of people there. And then we had to like graph out the trend and everything, and then we found out that this was the problem. So we did a QIP by looping in the pathology department, explaining this to them, and then we made sure that the full loop of the QIP was that the pathology department was looped in. HbA1c results started coming back soon, in time for when the patients got repatriated back. So this was the
Right.
QIP that I did. Before you do a QIP, you have to understand what a QIP is. It's a quality improvement project.
Hmm.
Essentially, you're understanding trends in the trust that you work at, and you are giving your input on how you can better these particular guidelines that are either being followed but not followed properly, or not followed at all, or something, right? So you are
Hmm.
just giving your 2 cents on how this can be bettered. And then a full loop QIP is making sure that the inputs that you have given has been followed through, and your last presentation will be you presenting that yes, this is happening, these are the results, it's all good. As a clinical attaché, you'll probably be involved in the first level of your QIP, because you're only going to be there for like 4 weeks, right? My major role in the QIP was I collected a lot of data, and I helped make the presentation and all of that. I helped understand the trends and everything. But by the
Right.
time I uh, remember one thing: when you leave, it's not like you're out of the QIP or the project. Keep in touch with your consultant, with the junior doctors that you work. They will be more than happy to keep you in the loop, send you the presentations. The only thing you won't have access to is the actual data, because that's classified. um, so they'll be more than happy to keep you in. Some trusts even put you in on a, they put you in like through video conferencing on the day of the presentation, even if you're not there. So it all depends on how involved you are and everything. So QIPs are great. Definitely do it. You'll be doing a lot of QIPs throughout your NHS period. So it's really good to get an idea of what a QIP is during your clinical attachment. You'll be more prepared when you get your first job in your end.
That's the basic QIP or an audit is a basic requirement for when you're applying for a JCF or an FY2 program.
Right.
Other than an audit or a QIP, what I did was in my attachment trust, we were not allowed to do an audit because the attachees, we had only 3 weeks of time and we're not allowed to access the patient's records in depth. So
Hmm.
we're forbidden from doing the attachment. But instead, if that happens to you, any one of you who's watching, you can also do something more simpler, like a teaching session. So every trust will have a medical student or nurses, anybody, whoever you can. It shouldn't. Uh, there's no limitation on the number. It can be either two of them or three of them or 5 or 10 small groups. You can do a small teaching session on any of the topics that you think you're confident with, but take a feedback form after you're done, which will replicate as a formal teaching experience for you.
Right.
Another thing you can do is prepare a questionnaire of your own in a topic of your choice, or a disease of your choice, or a condition of your choice. So, somebody that did the attachment before me, I was in touch with her. She didn't do a QIP, but she came up with a very elaborate questionnaire, and she went up to 100 patients and got their answers, and did like a whole
Okay.
sort of analysis of the questionnaire, and she put that back to the
Mm-hmm.
consultants, and that was very useful for them to understand a lot of trends in the, in the patient aspect side. And
Hmm.
that is also something you can do if you can't do
Yeah,
a
Right.
QI.
but correct, absolutely. Anyone who is in this route can also include yourself in an audit or a QIP in their own country. It's not like
Yeah.
it's new to us. The concept is not new to our country. We do, especially in private hospitals, they do a lot of
Hmm.
audits and quality improvement
Correct.
projects.
Hmm.
So in my hospital that I'm working here, I was involved in two of those audits and one quality improvement project. If you get a chance anywhere you are,
Yeah,
make the
do it.
best use. The teaching sessions also can be taken in your country as well. But the feedback, make sure to take the feedback form. That's like a formal evidence again. So that will help
Right.
you to put it in your CV. You have a teaching experience, teaching
Hmm.
nursing or housekeeping staff or your fellow colleagues. That will be very
Right.
helpful.
Right. Okay. So now, after learning about clinical attachments, we move towards the GMC registration. So we have, briefly talked about it in the first part, but I still want to ask regarding the process for the GMC registration itself. So what is the process? Can you brief about it,
Oh,
please?
This is one topic
GMC
we had to do very
registration.
elaborate notes on for you guys, because we had to like go remember everything we had done.
Right, right.
Before GMC registration, when we were getting our GMC registration, we had to get something called as EPIC verification, electronic portfolio of international credentials. So we have to get that. It's by ECFMG. So
Okay.
first things first, get your ECFMG certification if that's still required now. But trust me, it's like getting your popcorn ready before you movie starts. It saves up a lot of time. So I would personally recommend getting the EPIC verification done before you have your PLAB 2 result in hand. So you can ideally start applying as you apply for your PLAB 2, apply for your ECFM. It takes 4 to 6 weeks. You have to get your
Okay.
transcripts done you have to get in touch with your college and transcripts done. If you have them already, that's well and good. And once you get those transcripts, you will be applying for the EPIC. So once the EPIC you have in hand, then you have to, after you pass your PLAB 2, along with the EPIC and a few more documents, you have to upload it in the GMC website. So you have to again go to your gmcuk.org website and then GMC online account. From there, you have to go into My Registrations and then start your new registration.
Right. Would you like
Would
to
you,
add something?
Yeah, so
would you want
just
to know about the documents?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that will be my following question about the documentation for the same.
Okay. Yeah, Monica is about to say something after Monica.
no, just try to. Recently, there was a law passed that we might. So
Yeah,
first, try to understand what ECFMG is and what your EPIC verification is. So ECFMG is essentially the Educational Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates, and
Right.
your EPIC is your electronic portfolio of international credentials. So basically, it's just a body out there that is verifying that the degree that you have gotten is valid, and it is coming
Hmm.
from a proper university from a country that is you know capable of giving you that type of an education. Recently, there was a law passed where India will not need that kind of sort of verification done anymore. So just try to
Okay.
see if that laws, it's try to see if you need your EPIC first. We're not very sure about that. So in case
right.
you need it, follow all of the steps that Dr. Ashish just mentioned. But in case you don't need it, then great. Like that's a whole 4 to 6 weeks out of your agenda of trying to apply for your GMC registration. That was the worst
Exactly.
part.
Right.
Another thing, you have 2 years from the point of completing your PLAB 2 to apply for your GMC, but don't wait for too much time. Like do it immediately. And remember the types of registration. You have your provisional registration. You have your full registration with license to practice. You have a special. You have a registration for the specialist registrar, and then you have a registration for the GP registrar. Like Ashish mentioned, once you go into your GMC uk.org and you go into your my registration, make sure you select the full registration with license to practice. This is what you will need.
Right.
And so once you're there, the documentations you'll need ready is, I think, Ashish, do you want to
Your
go? And then
golden ticket. Your golden
Wow.
ticket, like your MBBS certificate, and your internship FY1 equivalent, which counts as to your rotations in every single department during your internship in the other country,
Right.
and your PLAB 2 scorecard. You'll have your passport. You'll need your medical transcripts, and one important thing is your good standing certificate from your medical council that you're already registered in your country.
Your
Okay.
regional
This might
medical
take some
council.
time. Yeah.
So
Okay.
mine was
So
Tamil
this is
Nadu Medical Council. So whichever medical council you're registered with, you have to get a good standing from them. And don't forget your IELTS score. That is very important for your GMC registration. So in case your
Yeah.
IELTS is expired, by the time you're done with your PLAB 2, some people their IELTS will expire. You need your IELTS score to apply for GMC registration. I'm not entirely sure if it has to be not expired IELTS score. uh, Please definitely check with that. But you
Check
definitely
the
need your
guidelines
IELTS
once
score.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, just check the guidelines once again. It's all available on GMC on the GMC website. But you
Yeah.
definitely need your IELTS scorecard. If to apply, you need your IELTS scorecard.
When
Right.
we were applying, it was around 2 years of validity for IELTS, 2 to 3 years of validity, if
I
I'm not
think
wrong.
it's 2 years. If yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you both have done this and you've obtained your registrations. So what were the biggest challenges that you faced while you were applying the process itself, and what advice would you give to someone who is applying now?
Honestly,
Um,
challenges as such, we didn't
I
face
think it's
any
a pretty
challenge while applying.
straightforward. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a pretty
Yeah.
straightforward process. Apart from the epic taking too much time, there's no challenges you'll have to face. You'll just
Right.
keep in mind the steps and how much time you'll have to wait. So I have that noted if that's something people will like to know. um, you have to check if you're eligible. So once you click on your my registration thing, you just before you do that, check if you're eligible, which you most probably will be. And
Hmm.
then there's an application form that you have to complete. So here you'll have to enter your epic details, your internship details, your name, and all of those details. And then you'll need to enter your recent professional experience, and you'll have to do it in chronological order. So every job you've
Okay.
applied
From
for,
the department that you started in
yeah,
internship, right from internship, actually.
internship, you will have to break it down into every department that you've worked in and enter that
Yeah.
separately as an experience. And then
Hmm.
once you've done that, you will have to enter each job as an experience. And then after that, your registration and licensing. So you will already hold registration somewhere else, right? That's what
Hmm.
registration and licensing means. Apart from the GMC you're applying for now, what other registrations do you hold and licenses do you hold? You have to declare all of that there. And then there's a questionnaire, your fitness to practice, your declaration of fitness to practice, and then there'll be a final declaration questionnaire, and then you'll have to make a payment. So the application is a little long. That you might find, since you asked challenging, people might find the length of that a little tedious. Once you've completed your application and you've paid the fee, you have to give it about like you'll receive an email from GMC telling you to provide evidence of everything, provide evidence
Yeah.
of the certificates that you said you have. So your like primary medical qualification, your passport, anything that they ask for, they'll
Your
give you a
good
list.
standing.
Yeah, your
Hmm.
good standing. They'll give you a list of everything that you need to provide to them. And this usually they get back to you within like 5 working days. So I'm
Okay.
just giving everyone the timeline. 5 working days, you'll get the email. Remember
Hmm.
to scan all of this and you have to put it into one PDF. You can't,
Okay.
yeah, you have to put it all into one PDF. And there's like a size limitation that they'll mention.
Yeah.
So
Right.
just follow all of that. And then again, they'll take 5 days to come back to you once that is complete. And usually, sometimes there's an ID check. We didn't really experience an ID check. And then after that, you just wait for your registration. It will come your way.
Sometimes it might take up to 3 to 4 weeks as well.
Yeah.
For me, it
Sometimes
took
it'll
like
just
three
take.
weeks. Yeah, that's normal.
For me,
That's nothing to
just,
worry about.
yeah,
Right.
maybe the biggest challenge you'll face is how much time you have to wait in between all of this. For me,
It's a
once I
high
submit
number of volume of
documents,
applications.
yeah, once I submitted my documents, so I got it in like 2 weeks. But
Okay.
some people might have to wait 3 to 4 weeks. It depends.
Right. Right. So I think the documentation part can, as you mentioned, the elaborateness of the same can be a bit challenging, but otherwise
For,
it's a straightforward process.
for us, the challenging
Right.
part was we didn't know we had to provide all of this. So only once I received the email from them, I
Okay.
even most of my friends did tell me some of the things, but
Hmm.
then when they told me I was in UK, so I had to come back, and this good standing and all will take time. So
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
it'll
like
take a week.
yeah, that's the challenge you'll face. How much time it will take to gather your documents and all of that.
So I think the students and the people, I mean, the ones who are applying for this will definitely benefit from this particular session where they now
Of
have
course.
a complete list of what
Mhm.
We didn't have this
needs to be there.
list.
Yeah,
It's
so
like the
many
pro
thanks.
version of the videos available.
Right, yeah. So many thanks to both of you for providing this detailed list. So
No
now
problem.
let us move to the next part, that is about a job application. So now the candidate has got a GMC registration. Now they have to start applying for jobs. So can you guys describe me how was your approach for this particular job search in UK?
So, to talk about job applications, right after getting a GMC, that depends on your experience, and if you have any
Right.
membership exams in in your hand, you
Hmm.
can either apply for junior specialist doctor or junior clinical fellow, or you can either go higher, like a registrar level. Depends. What about your
Usually,
level of experience?
people who are listening to this will usually go through the PLAB route. So
PLAB,
uh,
PLAB route.
that might not be something you will be doing. But in case you've completed your MRCP before
Yeah,
and all, you do have other options which you can look into. Uh,
yeah. And
we
there are
both took
two
very
types of
different.
jobs.
Yeah, we both took
Mhm.
very two different approaches to the job. He
Okay.
took
Yeah,
the non-training route, and I took the training route. So maybe you
training
can
route.
elaborate on that for everybody.
Yes, please.
You can go ahead.
So, yeah, so there are two kinds of jobs. If you're post MBBS, you have no membership exam, or if you
Hmm.
have one membership exam done, one part of the membership exam, you can either apply for a training job or a non-training job at an FY2 level or a JCF level. Both are same. So
Right.
when it comes to, I will be talking about non-training jobs because that is the route I am going through, and Monica can talk about the training route. So the non-training route, it is equivalent to the F2 training. So UK medical graduates usually have 2 years post internship. They have like FY 1 year 2, foundation year 1 and 2.
Okay.
So we will be up since we have done our internship here back in India or any other country. We will be applying for FY2 jobs if you're going for training job. If you're going for a non-training job, the GERT equivalent is a F2 equivalent is a junior clinical fellow or an SHO. So based on these two, the differences are not they're not entirely different. There are not many differences that present between both of them. So
Right.
one striking difference is uh, for F2, you have all your competencies signed by the end of your year. But for this, you have to take it on your own. You have to be approachable. You have to be forward and open to everything. And you have to get something called as a CREST form signed. CREST form is
Okay.
nothing but CREST, a certificate of readiness to enter into specialty training. That is,
Okay.
you have all the competencies that are required for your level to uh, go to the next level. That is your specialty training. So otherwise, both training and non-training, they are the same, and you'll have an educational supervisor in your training job, but in non-training job, you'll only have a clinical supervisor. That's the only key difference.
Okay.
An educational supervisor is somebody who's going to help you build your portfolio, and you like have a whole postgraduate team that you can go to and everything, which JCFs might not
Yeah,
entirely do. And we also get a clinical supervisor, someone who's going to help us on the floor, someone who's going to help us understand the cases, someone who's going to help us work clinically towards whichever goal that you have. So,
Right.
F training position doctors, FI2s will get both.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So the approach that I took was that this is a very long approach. So
Okay.
FY2 job, non-training job application is your run-of-the-mill job application. Every day you have to sit on your portals. You have to keep looking at whatever jobs come up, and you have to every job will have a separate application that you have to submit every time,
correct.
right? So it is tedious and it is time consuming and exhausting in its own way.
Right.
The FY2 route, the standalone FY2 route, which is what I took, is also tedious and time consuming, but in a very different way. So this is a
Hmm.
very elaborate process. It happens over a period of 6 months. The applications for standalone FY2 open in January usually, and this comes in steps. Your first step is your application, and you will have to fill your application out. And
Right.
before doing any of this, go to your GMC. Every year they release FY2 handbook, a guidelines handbook, in
Okay.
which they will give you a timeline. Like they'll literally give you a timetable as to when to expect
Yeah,
each part of your step to occur.
Hmm.
The applications Jan, and then you have to wait for your long listing of the application, And once you've been longlisted, you'll get a call to book your SJT, your situational judgment test, which will be another exam that you have to take. And then once you're done with that exam, you have to wait to be shortlisted for your interview. Uh,
Okay.
so at each process, you might get eliminated from it. So essentially, it's like it's kind of like a race, right? So
Selection
every
process.
process, yeah, at every process, you can either make it through or get eliminated. So if you clear your SJTs with a good ranking and a good score, you'll get shortlisted to book your interview. So then you get called for your interview. On the day of your interview, you're going to have two panelists, and you'll have four questions, and the interview is 20 minutes long. The first question will be a walk me through your CV question. So essentially, you're
Hmm.
just going to be talking about your entire life since the point of MBBS till now,
Hmm.
and you just go through your CV, learn how to sell yourself, learn how to pitch yourself. You'll only have 5 minutes to talk about it though, so be very precise to the point, but also try to get everything in. I know it's complicated, so practice. There's a lot of YouTube videos that you can watch on this.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's a description. We can put it in the link also. I mean, we can put the links in the description also later if
Yeah.
there is one. The other three questions will be two ethical scenarios and one clinical scenario. So the way I chose to prepare for this was to read. There's a FY2 Oxford handbook for FY2, and there's a
Okay.
Oxford handbook for clinical medicine. So what I did was I went through both the handbooks. I went through all of the emergency scenarios in both the handbooks and anything else that I found was interesting. So this is how I prepped for the interview. Once you're done with your interview, you'll get a rank based on your
Okay.
application, your SJT, and your interview scores. Collectively, they'll give you a rank, and they'll also give you a breakdown of your interview scores. So each they'll give you a whole PDF, and like for each question, there'll be two panelists as I mentioned. So each panelist's feedback and then the score that you got for that. So once this is done, they'll give you a rank, and then you'll be called to book your preferencing. So
Okay.
that's when the slots open up. You'll find out how many slots there are throughout the United Kingdom. This year, when I applied, there were only 240 slots, and I got a rank. I think my rank was like 270 or something. So there's round
Okay.
one, round two, round three clearance rounds, and then through each round, you'll get called. So the first step is to enter your preferences. So all 240 jobs you have to rank like this. This is my first preference, my second preference, third preference, all the way to like 240. I had 242. I had to do. Similarly, you'll have to do it for like each year. It will be different. So you'll have to rank your preferences. Then you get called in each
Hmm.
window. You to see if you got matched into a program, and that's how I matched into my program at Heartlands Hospital in Birmingham. So this is the route that I took. It's as I said, it's very long, tedious, and it's a whole lot of waiting, and it's a lot more like prep time. But they're both equally good, equally
Yeah.
beneficial. It just depends on what your priorities are, what your interests are, where your goals are. So, um, if you want to understand the differences between the two, just any YouTube video will help. We'll put that in the description as well. So, yeah, so this is the two approaches that you take.
And also there is one criteria for the training program. There's this IELTS required score. You need to get
Hmm.
7.5 minimum in every domain.
Oh,
Your
yeah, it's
Okay.
listening,
different than
speaking,
your
reading, and writing. All the four domains. Minimum should be a 7.5 and not a 7.
yeah, it's different from
Okay.
your GMC. For your GMC, it's enough if
Yeah,
you get a 7. But for your FY2, you have to get a 7.5 in each domain
7.5.
and an 8 overall. So
Right.
I got lucky. I had a
Right. So, definitely congratulations on your achievement, and thank you for explaining both the ways that a candidate can move ahead. So, I would like to ask you here, in this course, did you use any resources as such, like say job boards or recruitment agencies, or can you just brief us about if there are any and how they can help?
So for this, I think the sources only count for non-training jobs. There's only one source for training, that is the Oriel website where the job gets advertised, and that's where you apply through. But for
Okay.
non-training jobs, you have a couple of sources,
Mm-hmm.
which one website which everybody knows is the track jobs or health
Okay.
jobs, NHS jobs. Both three are all the same. They're all the same. They just
Right.
have different names, but you go to one portal back at the end when you're applying. That is your track
Okay.
jobs. And other than this, there's another route where when once you do your clinical attachment, if there any vacancy gets open up at that time, you can
Hmm.
your consultant, if he's satisfied with your work, he can endorse you for that post. And
Right.
You
and there's
still have to
another
fill
source
out an
which,
application though.
yeah, you still have to fill out an
You have to
application. You still
go
have to
through.
sit for the interview. Correct,
Okay.
absolutely.
What you can do, you'll fill out the
And
application and you'll give out your application number to your consultant. Like that's all they can do. It's not, you still have to do your application.
you still have to do
Right.
your application. You still have to sit for the interview. And it's a clearing
Okay.
process. It's again a clear, transparent process.
Hmm. Hmm.
And other not so known, and I don't know if it's helpful or not, but there's this LinkedIn. That's where
Hmm.
we all met.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn, there may be some opportunities through LinkedIn as well, but I'm not sure
Mm-hmm.
how valid and accurate that information is.
You'll have advertisements for the track and the NHS and LinkedIn. But LinkedIn is a
Hmm.
Mhm.
great source to connect with people,
Right.
including the consultants
Yeah,
that you might be interviewing with, or the consultants at the hospitals you've worked with, or other JCFs that are already in the UK. So, an opportunity to connect with them will give you a lot of insight on
Hmm.
either how to prep or what to expect. Or so, LinkedIn is a great way to connect with a lot of people to get a
yeah,
better understanding, and it's a great way to see job adverts that you might have missed when you're doing your applications. But apart from that, LinkedIn is not a great way to actually apply for the job.
apply for jobs.
Yeah, it's just
Right.
kind of like and Oriel is the, as Dr. Ashish had mentioned, Oriel is the only available um, resource for
So
training jobs. So all of your training applications you'll do on Oriel. The adverts will
Okay.
keep coming up and the applications will keep opening there,
Hmm.
and that's the only place you can apply for these jobs because it's a national deanery process, right? So they
Okay.
can only have like one resource or one portal to ensure discretion.
Right. Right. Okay. So, did you have you people identified any opportunities, to gain an additional experience or qualification that can give you an edge when you're, applying for UK jobs in the healthcare? So,
Yeah,
yeah,
do anything with CPD credit points. Get your ALS
okay.
yeah.
certification done.
ALS certification, that is must and should for
Yeah,
any
we all
non-training
did
job.
our ALS. One thing you can
ALS,
remember is a lot of us will try to find ALS dates and courses in the UK. While you're there itself,
Okay.
a lot of people will try to do it. But sometimes,
yeah,
due to financial reasons or dates or visa expiring or no time, or literally like you won't have availability because they sell out so fast, like they get
Okay.
booked so fast. What we did was we did it. Yeah, the problem is they only take UK accredited ALS, like the
European as well.
yeah, that's what we thought. We
Hmm.
thought it was only UK. So your American Heart Association and all, you can't put it in there.
No, that is
Um,
that.
yeah. So what we did was I came back home and I found out that there's a European Resuscitation Council accredited ALS that is also recognized by the NHS. So in
Okay.
case you missed out on an opportunity to book a slot for your ALS while you're in UK, you can come back here. They happen throughout the year. I think they happen. Your in different locations. I did mine in Bangalore.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Ashish also did it in Bangalore, and we got dates for that. So if you don't get a slot there, don't worry. You can always book the European Resus one, which happens here in India.
Right.
So that is also equally recognized, and yeah. So that is something you can do. Apart from that, QIPs, audits, wherever you are, there, here, do it. Teaching
Right.
opportunity.
Research, and everybody's aware of research and meta-analysis or systematic reviews, anything
Hmm.
of
Yeah.
that sort.
presentations, poster presentations,
Poster and case
presentations,
presentations.
case presentations at the hospital that you work at.
Yeah.
Very important. Please try to stay employed as much as possible. Yeah,
Okay.
they should support for that. Your any long periods of unemployment are frowned upon. So these are the
More than
basic
6 months or less. Yeah.
these are the basic things you can do to amp up your CV and keep it. And apart from that, like opportunities will keep popping up. Like right now, this could be considered as a teaching opportunity. So it all depends on how you sell yourself, how unique you present your case, and how
Right.
willing you are to go out there and constantly search for things that will make you better.
Yeah. Hunt for more opportunities. That's it. Either just grab every opportunity that you get. Let it be teaching, research, conference, even attending conferences like international conferences, national conferences do count. So you can attend as many as conferences. And there, on the side, you also have training courses, like 2-day courses. You have your
Yeah.
AL, like we discussed about ALS. There's also other surgical courses for 2 days that you can absolutely get anytime.
LinkedIn is a great place to find a lot of certification courses because you will find in your the more you match with people, they'll put it out
Yes.
there. That like I've recently completed this particular certification, and then you'll be like, "Oh, what is this?" And then you'll go try to enroll, and then so LinkedIn is a great way to either that will happen or you literally see adverts for it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a great way to find certification courses and everything. Anything with CPD credit.
Right.
Also, one thing I wanted to tell everyone is being a IMG is really hard. It's going to take a lot of time. It's not something
I have a
that
lot of patience.
yeah, it's not for the. It's more being mentally strong, having a lot of patience, really being a go-getter. Keep working, keep trying, keep. You have to be very hungry. Keep looking for opportunities. It will beat you down, but you should not get. Pick yourself back up and keep going. Yeah, so you're not alone in feeling that way. So in case any of you are right there, I just wanted to tell you it's okay. Keep going. It is hard for everyone,
Keep
and it's a
connecting.
yeah. Keep connecting. The more you
Absolutely.
connect,
Don't stay alone. Keep connecting either through LinkedIn or WhatsApp, Telegram. There are many groups available these days. Be
you'll
connected.
understand that.
Get to know
Yeah.
the latest updates. You will understand a lot.
And when you're there for your PLAB too, make good, make good acquaintances. People, a lot of the people I made friends with and acquaintances with there are the ones who helped me through a lot when I came back to understand exactly what to do. So the more you connect with people, the more you'll understand you're not alone. Everyone's going through the same, has been through the same, will go through the same. Uh, yeah, just keep going, keep swimming.
Yeah.
You'll get
Have
there.
patience. Have faith. Keep going. Keep pushing.
And then when you get there, you'll find out there's more, and then you'll keep going more. That's the life of an IMG.
Okay, so I think the very gist of this can be that patience, perseverance, I think is very much needed, and you both have been really helpful in giving us a lot more insights.
No, we've
Of
come from the same thing. So we want
yeah,
to give as much information as possible on this thing.
exactly. I
Yeah,
think
So we
we're
will
happy to
after
help.
this, I think after this podcast, a lot. I mean, I'll say a lot of detailed discussions that we have had will be very helpful to every candidate who is trying to apply for this, and it's really a great. It was even great talking to both of you and connecting with both of you. So, thank you so much for being on this podcast series with us. Definitely, we would like to have more of you. Let's see when we can next, come up with more topics to discuss with the both of you. And I'm sure if somebody has any, queries further, if we get these questions, we will forward it to you, and you can answer those queries for us.
absolutely. Yeah, we'll be happy to
Yeah,
help.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We can even give you all of the links to put in your description.
Yeah, please. We can share that, and once you share that, we can link it here on our YouTube channel so that it can be for reference of the future listeners. So thank you so much. It's been great talking to both of you, and
Likewise.
you've been very insightful. So thank you so much, Dr. Ashish and Dr. Monica, and all the best for your future endeavors. Wishing you great success. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good
Thank you,
luck to
everybody.
everyone.
Good luck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Bye.
Yeah. Good day then. Bye.